We have a miracle near save that stops warping and everyone gets extra actions. We have so much to talk about in this episode, but I need to know in the comments, are you summoning on this banner? There is so much to summon on these days. Let me know, but let's get started. So, first off, she looks amazing. I love her in her Valentine's garb. Okay, there's a lot of things to unravel here. So, we have Canto remaining +1, minimum of 2, which is nice. We have Slaying. After Canto, we re-enable Canto and get an extra action, which is really nice, but understand this is not the same thing as Felix. It doesn't ignore traps, and that is really important, but that is still really good. So we get right off the bat another action. That is always a good thing. If unit initiates combat or number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 1, inflicts penalty on foes, attack defense equals 20% of unit's defense at start of combat +6, and unit deals +X times 5, and most of the time that's going to be 25 true damage, which is a lot. That's a good amount. And also reduces damage by an additional X times 3. Remember, that is max of 5, so that's 15. When foes attack, triggers foes special. We forgot to read the part about the 5. That's dependent on the penalties on the foe and the bonuses on you. So it's pretty easy to get, if we're being honest, especially if we look at this unit specifically. Where were we? So, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack during combat and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. That is the one thing, and no one understands this. That healing is just beyond me. I don't know why they did that. I will say I don't know that it matters as much as it used to, but it does make it a bit harder for some Gale Force strategies. This unit is still, we'll see in a little bit, but this unit gets 3 total actions. That's still a lot. We've got Armored Blaze, which is nice. It's a good special on her. We also have Sly Sturdy Blow. Let's go back to the special. I think with the bulk of the units right now, you're going to need to keep Armored Blaze. Ideally, you would have Gale Force, and that would give you 4 total actions. But everything is very, very bulky right now, and they keep on giving us effects to help that along. So in order to punch through things, I do think she's going to need to stick with something like Armored Blaze. Sturdy Blow is excellent because of the true damage. That is, the Sly Sturdy Blow is perfect for her and perfect for a lot of other units. So that's unfortunately going to be a nice piece of fodder. One of the big things for her is the unit making a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is going to be very handy, especially when you're getting 25 true damage, which is insane. That's quite a bit. Anyway, moving on. We have Pure Storm, and at the start of turn and after unit acts, if Canto triggers after Canto, inflicts attack defense -7 and exposure, which is more true damage, and sabotage on closest foes and foes within 2 spaces of those foes through their next action. If target has entered combat aside from this combat on the current turn and unit initiates combat, target cannot trigger their special during combat. Okay. So I have some debate on what that is, and there's 2 things you can look at that. The first is that stops all specials, but that is specials during combat. The question is, does it stop Shield Fighter? And my reading is no. Shield Fighter in general talks about things that trigger before combat, and this very specifically says during. So this is a really interesting effect, but if it doesn't stop Shield Fighter, I mean, it's good, but that is the big thing. You have to stop Shield Fighter. And in order to do that, you need 3 hits, one from Potent, or you need 4, and the 4th from Brave that's going to get through it. It makes me question how this is going to work exactly. So we'll see, but anyway, moving on. If unit initiates combat or the number of allies adjacent to unit is 1 or less than 1, inflicts attack defense -5 on foe and deals damage equals 20% of unit's defense. That is again more true damage, and it's a lot. And reduces the percentage of foes non-special, so that's piercing. So we have the standard 50% piercing, which is nice. If unit initiates combat, number of allies to unit is 1 or less than 1 after combat, grants another action to unit. So there's the third action. And again, if you do Gale Force, that's 4, but I think you're gonna need the extra hitting power. The big thing with this is how you're reading the stopping of specials. And again, the way I'm reading that is that it's not stopping Shield Fighter. And you can leave it in the comments if I'm wrong on that, then things are very different and this becomes a premier unit. Just absolutely incredible. Right now, though, I mean, this unit is already very, very good, and we haven't read Assault Rush yet. At start of turn, if unit's HP equals 100% or any foe is within 3 columns or 3 rows centered on unit, grants attack +6. Unit can move 1 extra space, and you get charge. And then if unit initiates combat, grants an additional attack +5 to unit and grants a special cooldown -1 to unit before unit's first attack during combat. What this means is this unit is going to proc Armored Blaze on almost every hit, and that's a big deal. But again, the thing you have to stop is Shield Fighter. What I will say, we talked about how to take on units right now, and the big thing is you have to have true damage. This unit has a ton of true damage and a lot of different types of DR, be it flat or percentage. So this unit is going to hit very hard and survive very well. Where I've put her is in the Gale Force tier list, and right now I really think that puts her up at the very top. We'll see about that clause. We could rank her in melee nukes as well. I think this unit is going to be very good in that arena. The thing is, even if you do have Shield Fighter, generally you're not able to really kill things, and this unit is going to put a dampener on your day. So on offense, I think she's going to be a Gale Force unit. On ARD, I think she is going to be, when you combine her with all of the units that are turning off saves right now, I think she's going to be an absolute terror and not someone you're going to want near your units. So if you can imagine this unit hitting the frontliner and then circling around back to catch any strays, that is absolutely what this unit can do. So there are a lot of different things you can do with this unit, and keep in mind the 3 actions is not limited to the player control. That is something that the AI can take over and just wreak havoc. I like the build of this unit, and I think we're going to see a lot of her. Again, the big question is, how does she interact with Shield Fighter? It's Dimitri! They are just coming for my orbs right now. Dimitri is a sword cav, and what an interesting cav at that. All right, we've got Lion's Heart, and this is the same Canto remaining +1, minimum of 2, and we have Slaying, and then we have the same after Canto if you entered combat on current turn, and you get another action. Also, you get recantoed, which is fantastic. Multiple cantos are so good for any kind of player phase actions, be they in SD or in AR or in Arena. Any of those, they are absolutely fantastic. Moving on, at start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants unit can move 1 extra space, which is just almost essential for Cavs right now, and grants the following statuses on unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. And we've got null penalties, and we've got special acceleration. Both of those are incredibly good on Gale Force teams, so that is a nice thing to have. I will say special acceleration itself has lost a bit of its value. The reason is special jumping is just the way to go. Everyone wants special jumping, and everyone wants their specials right now. They don't want to have to accelerate up to them. Next up, we have if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to units. Attack speed defense res equals 15% of unit speed at start of combat +5, which is a good amount. And unit deals +X × 5, and it's that same thing we saw on the other one. That's most of the time going to be 25 true damage, and reduces damage from foes first attack by 5 × 3, which is 15. Again, that's excellent and includes Braves, and also reduces damage by an additional 5x3 when foes attack triggers foes special. We've seen that a lot in this is a big thing we talked about in the How to Deal Damage episode, but the degradation of specials is everywhere right now. Specials do not hold the same oomph that they used to. I mean, you think about taking 15 off the top of any special, and that is a big deal, especially when combined with all of the other stuff. Next up, we have Haze Slice, and this boosts damage by 30% of units' attack when special triggers. If unit initiates combat, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack. So you have special jumping built in to Haze Slice, and reduces damage from foes' attacks by 40% during combat. So this is something that Cavs can have that has DR built into it, and that is incredibly powerful, along with the special jump, so you're going to be able to get that 35% of the unit's attack more often. I mean, if you count in Slaying, this is basically a 1 cooldown special. If you have some kind of reduction in the form of well, any kind of unit that helps with that, Asker or otherwise, this unit is hitting with Haze Slice right off the bat. Moving on, because you know we're going to get more true damage from this special hiding here. Okay. Attack speed excel is excellent. We love that. Pure Atrocity. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, inflicts speed defense -5 on foe and deals damage equals 25% of unit's attack. So that is, again, a lot of true damage, and that is kind of the theme with these units, and it makes sense with what we've just talked about. True damage is the way that you kill things right now. Grant special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack, so you're going to get that Haze Slice off every single time. And then we have Null Follow-Up, which is excellent. We have full Null Follow-Up, which on a Cav is very, very good, and reduces the percentage of foes non-special. That's so piercing. So we have the 50% piercing there. After combat, if unit attacked, neutralizes 2 bonus effects, and that's bonus effects on target and any foe within 2 spaces of target. So this is Essence Drain-like, in that it's robbing the opponent of bonuses, and that can be a very, very big deal with how reliant we are on bonuses right now. So, I mean, that's very good. Moving on to this, neutralizes the first applicable bonus effects on foe's list of active effects and applies Divine Vein Haze on target space and each space within 2 spaces of target space for 1 turn. So you get the additional Divine Vein Haze, which is great to combat all of the other things going on. Divine Vein Haze is good, don't get me wrong, but it's almost you need to clear away any of the either terrain that's stopping you or terrain that's stopping your effects, like Divine Vein Stone protecting against any kind of AoE. And then you get Shadow Shift 4, which we're going to show in a little bit here, but if you think about how this unit acts, I mean, you're going to be able to hit, Canto away, Shadow Shift, go back in, hit again, Canto away, and Shadow Shift somebody else. That is a lot of spaces to move and a lot of actions you're getting. Even though if only 2 of those are combat, you get 3 of those that are movement based and basically reposition based. So that is very, very powerful. So looking at the tier list, I still have Sigurd up top, and I think he is just, I mean, he's fantastic. The AoE is just something you have to plan for. In every single phase of this game, you have to plan for Sigurd's AoE. It's incredible. Hresvelgr, the true damage that Hresvelgr gets is more conditional than what Dimitri gets, but it has no cap. And that's a big deal. In a game that has so many bonus and penalty effects, Hresvelgr is queen. And I do have Dimitri up there, but because of the no cap situation, I have to put him 3rd there on the list. That's still very good though, and the fact that he gets another action, especially if you're talking about defense or SD, is very handy. Sometimes that is overlooked on SD, but keep in mind, even if even if Dimitri does die on that follow-up attack right after he attacked, the player had no choice. You forced their hand into taking an action to actually take Dimitri off the board, as opposed to Hresvelgr, if she hit and didn't kill, which admittedly doesn't happen very much, would just be frozen out, and then the SD team would focus on somebody else. So that extra action is sometimes overlooked in SD, and I think it is better than people give it credit for. But I still, in the end, I want my unit to just hit as hard as possible, and I think Hresvelgr still hits more than him. If we're looking at tier 1, what I really need to do is take all of these guys and bump them down, and take some of the tier 0 folks that aren't listed here and spread them out in tier 1. I love Sharena, and I do think that Alphonse does hit hard, but it's just, there's a huge gap between those. So I'll get that fixed next time. I swear to you, I update these probably once every 2 weeks at least, and it always feels like I'm behind on something. And this is another area where I need to add in some more units there. The big thing though is Dimitri really hits hard. The mischievous one is here, and I mean, it's Claude. We all love Claude. What are we going to do with this unit though? This is meant to be a hit and sit unit, and what I will say is that traditionally these units don't age well, and IS isn't great at designing them. There are a lot of things that have to go right for this kind of a strategy to work, but let's look at it. So we have Canto remaining, minimum of 1, accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1, effective against flying foes. We have the same after Canto, you get recantoed and another action, which on a ranged unit is incredibly valuable. And then we have at the start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants no follow-up and preempt pulse to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. I kind of wish that was 3 spaces, but this is at the start of turn, so that's fine. Preempt pulse given out as an effect, though, is really nice. That ranged advantage can come in incredibly handy, so just keep that in mind. That is a lot of fun. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to units. Attack speed defense res equals 15% of unit speed at start of combat plus 5. And then neutralizes foes' bonuses to speed and defense and deals. That is the same clause where you get around 25 true damage based on bonuses and penalties, and neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X, which of course is Null Guard, and we restore 7 HP to unit after combat. I don't know what's up with all this healing, but it's okay. On this unit, I don't think we mind too much. Curved shot we've seen. The extra DR that comes in this weapon is fantastic. But let's move on, because what we really want to look at, come on, scroll. Attack speed prime 4. We've seen that unit use this before, and it's okay. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with attack speed prime 4. In general, though, Claudes usually get so many bonus effects that it's not as big of a deal for them. You just have to watch out for, well, like Dimitri coming in and stealing all of your bonuses. But Pure Starfall is really what we're looking at. If unit initiates combat, or if Deep Star is active on unit, which this unit has Deep Star, and if you guys remember, Deep Star is a lot of pierceable DR, but it's a lot of it. Like 80% is a lot. Anyway, inflicts speed defense -5 on foe. Unit deals plus X damage, and X equals 20% of unit speed, and that excludes AoEs, which is unfortunate. Reduces damage from foe's first attack by X. First attack includes Braves, and reduces the percentage of foes non-special. So there we have 50% piercing during combat, and also, if foes attack and trigger foe special, inflicts special cooldown count +1 on foes. So we have the Scowl effect. If unit initiates combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 80% during combat. God, that is so much pierceable stuff. And that includes Braves. And then if unit initiates combat, grants Deep Star and Vantage to unit, and inflicts gravity on target and foes within 1 space of target after combat. Gravity used to be amazing on hit and run units, and then we have warping that just goes everywhere, and it is just not as good as it was before. So I don't know that that's too crazy. Vantage is interesting on this unit, especially when we talk about attack speed prime 4, but remember, the thing you have to have with Vantage is you have to be able to destroy the other unit that's coming at you, and that is hard. That is a hard thing to do right now. I would think that is a really nice gimmick if you're on Aetherid's defense, or it can be annoying in SD. In Aetherid's offense, it's not something that works right now. That's just flat out. Vantage is for the time being is dead, and I am scared to see what would bring it back because everything is so bulky right now. The units that it works best on are Brave, because with 2 hits you're more likely to be able to take a unit out, as opposed to this unit which would have to one-shot units, and that is, again, it's just not happening. Everything is bulky right now. Then we have attack speed and sight hone, which is just a mouthful. And at start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed +6 and incited to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn, and grants bonus to units. Attack speed during combat equals number of allies on the map with the incited effect +2. All right. I mean, honestly, it's a good C skill. It's not amazing, but it is very good. Actually, it is pretty great, but we have so many just flat out amazing C skills right now. It does help him hit harder, which is a big deal. Let's look at the tier list. Right now, I don't know. I struggled with this one. Claude is not a tier 0 nuke. I don't think that is in debate. There's a lot of true damage. It's really great, but these units in tier 0 are special. They absolutely change the game, and I think you're more talking about tier 1, which has units like, well, Christmas Shez, that has a very wonderful niche of having, being a brave dagger and just absolutely demolishing things. You have units like Layla is incredible and has some really neat gimmicks. I think you're going to have him in that range. I'll be honest, I am back and forth on where he sits there. I have put him behind and ahead of Shez a couple times. Shez still actually hits pretty hard. We just don't see her because on that banner, everyone's summoned for other units because they were all busted. But yeah, he's in the gimmicky good. I mean, still good, but the gimmicky good tier. So I just keep that in mind. The other units, they hit hard, but they've fallen off. It takes an incredibly powerful nuke right now to get through the crud that we have, and really what this unit needs is Brave. And keep in mind, we have Marissa, so if you're a huge Claude fan and if you pair him with Marissa, suddenly we're talking some different stuff there, and he could be very interesting. So that is a use case, but I don't think he touches the tier 0 units. And then we have Rhea and Sothis. I love this. I loved the reveal at the Fae channel. This is fantastic. These two are just great. We have a near savior, and this is a colorless dragon, and I have questions. First off, look at that text. It just goes on forever. This is Devoted Breath. We have Slaying. We have Neutralizes Dragon Effectiveness. We have Adaptive Damage. And then we have for allies within 3 spaces of unit, grants Defense Res +5 and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 7, and that includes Braves. That is the first piece of damage reduction we have. For allies within 3 spaces of unit, if foe initiates combat, allies' HP is greater than 1. Okay, this is a big thing. For allies within 3 spaces of unit, you get Miracle. That is really, really interesting. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than 75% at start of combat, grants bonus to units, attack defense res equals 20% of units res at start of combat +5. So those are good buffs. And then unit deals +X damage, and the max there is 15. So that is, I mean, 15 true damage isn't bad. If unit triggers savior, okay, so that's, most of the time it's going to be 15. Reduces damage from foes' attack by X. If you remember, max of 15, so that is 15 more flat DR. And unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is very nice right now because we don't have as much full null follow-up, although it is starting to make a comeback. And then we have piercing, we have 50% piercing, which is nice. And also we have Miracle on this unit as well. Miracle in the meta right now is really, really good. So keep that in mind. This is an incredibly good unit. We have Dragon's Roar, which is a nice special on her. We have Defense Res Scowl, which is good. Scowl has fallen off a bit because of all the jumping that's going on, but it's still not a bad thing. And then we have Pure Dragon Wall. And if skill compares units res to a foe's res, you get +5, which is Phantom Res there. If units res is greater than foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and AoEs by the following percentage. And then we have a conditional 60 or 40, depending on how well you do there. Inflicts attack defense -5 on foe and deals damage equals X% of units res if it is unit's first combat initiated by unit or first combat initiated by foe in player phase or any phase. X equals 30, otherwise X equals 20, including AoEs, which is very nice. Reduces damage from foes attacked by X% of units res. It's more flat DR, and neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. And also, if foe's attack can trigger foe special and unit's res is greater than or equal to foe's res +5, inflicts special cooldown count +1 on foe, and grants special cooldown count -1 to unit before foe's first attack during combat. So you're going to get Dragon's Roar off a lot. You're going to get a ton of flat DR, a ton of % DR. You've got unpierceable DR, or % DR from Dragon's Roar. There's a lot going on here. And then if you have a Dragon or Beast on the team, you get 10 HP restored to you. Now, the question you should be asking is this better than Shield Fighter? And the answer mostly is no. But if you look at the kit as a whole, the fact that you get a ton of AoE DR, and we just talked about every team has to account for Sigurd. They have to. And this unit accounts for him without really having to do anything special with Divine Vein Stone. She just does. So with that, I think this unit is going to do quite well. We'll talk about the tier list in just a second. Let's get to lower ground first, and this is the anti-warping, but in a near save version, and it gives you defense res +4 for melee units. That is incredibly good, and it is something you want in a lot of different units. That is, it's kind of exciting and also terrifying. They're really coming after warping. Keep in mind that is only to dragons and beast units, so it's a little muted, but I mean, the best user that's probably going to be this unit. Let's look at the tier list. I think this is clearly the best near savior in the game. If we're looking at near save nukes, your question is, first off, how does she do against Felix? I am looking at this, and I think she's going to do quite well. I really do. The next question is, how does she do against Hresvelgr? That I don't know. It is very, very difficult to do well against Hresvelgr, and that's something we'll have to do some testing on, but I gotta say, this unit is very good. In a vacuum, I think Pure Dragon Wall is not as good as Shield Fighter, but if you include in Miracle, I mean, the place where this unit is going to be wanting to be used most is on Aether Raid's defense and Summoner duels, and I think she's going to be incredible there. This unit is kind of bonkers, and I know there are a lot of good units on this banner. I think this one is probably the best, which is saying something because that Edelgard is fantastic, and I think Dimitri is good as well. But this is really a phenomenal unit. Let's look at the duoscope briefly, and we can see the wonders of replays and what's going on here. We have the very informative text that really tells us nothing there. You can see Scowl and Diamant just tinging off of Rhea because of the massive amounts of true defense that are going on. Diamant gets just smashed. And then we're going to see the duo skill. This is not game breaking, but if you... this is going to be used in 2 places, and that's Arena and in Summoner Duels. And I think in both of those, this is pretty good. You get an Omni Lull to your allies, and you get Divine Vein Stone, which is nice. In SD, sometimes those duo skills are just to stall, and I think this does extra past that, so that is a good thing. And in Arena, neutralizing bonuses is fantastic. There's nowhere in the game where we have more visible bonuses than in Arena because of all of the rallies. So that is a very good effect there. If you would like to know more about true damage, I have an entire episode on that. Go check it out. I think that's going to be very valuable. Members, you are amazing. Thank you so much for all that you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.